Welcome to the deep dive. We dig into interesting sources to pull out the key takeaways, basically giving you a shortcut to getting up to speed.
Yeah, making it quick and easy to get informed.
Exactly. So today we're diving into Paul Arden's book, It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be.
Right.
Now, Arden worked in advertising, so you might think it's just about that. But honestly, the ideas in here, they're about ambition, creativity, how to get what you want in pretty much any area. Life, career, you name it.
It's surprisingly broad, isn't it? Despite its size, it's really punchy. And people outside advertising have really latched onto it. You get compared to, classics on strategy.
Like Sun Tzu or Machiavelli, but for like creative drive.
Exactly. It's got that same kind of sharp, actionable feel. It's about mindset.
And for you listening, someone who wants that deep knowledge without wading through everything yourself, well, our mission here is to pull out the really impactful bits from Arden's thinking.
The core nuggets.
Yeah. So let's jump in. One of the first big ideas, maybe the central one, is this concept that ambition matters more than raw talent.
He puts it really bluntly. He says, nearly all rich and powerful people are not notably talented, educated, charming, or good-looking, which is, designed to grab your attention.
Definitely provocative.
But his point is serious. It's that wanting it, that drive to get better, that's the real engine. More than just, being born with a gift. Talent alone often isn't enough.
Right. It needs that fuel, that determination. And he asks this really direct question, which I think is great for all of us. So how good do you really want to be?
Yeah.
And he even gives levels, like quite good, good, very good, best in your field, or even best in the world. It forces you to kind of check your own setting.
It really does. And tied into that is sacrifice. He points out, how often we choose being liked over doing the hard stuff needed for real excellence.
That's a tough one.
It is. Nothing wrong with being liked, obviously.
Yeah.
But he draws a line between that and the kind of single-minded focus you need for, major achievements.
Yeah.
Makes you think, what are you willing to give up?
Okay, so ambition is number one. But then he talks about where to aim that ambition. And it's high, maybe ridiculously high.
Yeah. He literally says, try to do the things that you're incapable of.
Which sounds completely backwards at first, doesn't it?
It does. But the logic is your vision, your dream of where you could be, that's your greatest asset. He throws out examples like aim for the absolute best company, aim to run this show, aim for the cover of Time magazine.
Things that feel totally out of reach for most people starting out.
Exactly. But setting those huge goals changes how you think, right? It forces you to stretch, to operate differently than if you just aimed for something, comfortable. It's the power of that big vision.
Aim for the stars, land on the moon kind of thing. So even if you don't hit that impossible goal, you achieve way more than if you'd aimed lower.
That seems to be the idea, yeah.
Okay, but what about when you don't hit those goals? Which will happen. Failure comes up a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And he flips the whole idea of mistakes. Those quotes, the person who doesn't make mistakes is unlikely to make anything.
Classic.
And fail again, fail better. For him, mistakes aren't just okay, they're vital. They're part of the process. Like experiments you learn from what doesn't work.
He even says it's wrong to be right. Okay, let's unpack that one. That sounds pretty radical.
Well, his argument is that being right usually means sticking to what you already know. Your past experience, the established way. It feels safe, sure.
Comfortable.
But it's looking backwards. It can stop you from seeing new things, trying something original. Being too attached to being right makes you rigid.
So being wrong is good. How does that work?
In terms of creativity and growth, yeah, he thinks so. It's liberating. When you're wrong, you have to stop, rethink, figure out a new path. You discover stuff you wouldn't have otherwise.
Oh.
He even says, don't be scared of silly ideas. They can break logjams, lead to something genuinely new. It's about being willing to explore and not judge too quickly.
Okay, that makes sense. Push yourself, see failure as learning, don't get stuck in being right. Now, he also talks quite a bit about presentation, how you show up. Perception seems really key for him.
Totally. Perception is reality, often. How you present yourself, your work, it massively affects how it's received. That great example he uses of Charles Saccacci.
Well, stationary.
Yeah, making his creative agency stationary look like a bank's instantly gives off this vibe of stability, seriousness. It wasn't just about the work itself.
It's about shaping how people see you. He contrasts, like, the brilliant architect nobody knows with the first-year student who just prints a card saying architect.
Right. That student, just by presenting themselves that way, gets perceived differently, at least initially. It gives them an opening.
And that applies to pitching ideas, too, doesn't it? He says, don't give a speech, put on a show.
Exactly. Just spitting out facts isn't enough. It won't stick. You need to make it engaging, memorable.
Yeah.
An experience. Think about presentations that you remember. They usually had some flair, some story.
Right, something that grabs you beyond just the info. Okay, what about responsibility? He seems very clear-cut on that.
Oh, yeah. Black and white, it's all my fault. That's his mantra. When things go wrong, just own it.
Yeah.
Completely. Even if it wasn't all your fault.
Why?
Because it puts you back in control. You can learn from it. You can influence what happens next. He lists all the usual excuses, blaming the client, the brief, whatever, and just says, forget it. It's unproductive.
Take ownership, even when it's hard. Okay, and what about ideas themselves? Our brilliant creative ideas, should we guard them?
Nope. Totally the opposite. He says, give away everything you know, and more will come back to you.
Wow, really?
Yeah. He thinks hoarding knowledge makes you stagnate, like living off savings that run out. If you share freely, you have to keep learning, keep generating new stuff. And somehow, that openness brings more opportunities back to you.
But aren't you scared someone will steal your idea? That's the natural fear, right?
It is the fear. But Arden's view seems to be the benefit of giving, of constantly needing to refill your own creative well, it outweighs that risk. Plus, he even suggests they're not really your ideas anyway, just things floating around that you grab onto.
Huh. That's a very different way of thinking about it. Fostering abundance, not scarcity.
Exactly.
Okay, so ambition, learning from failure, good presentation, taking responsibility, sharing ideas. What about finding opportunities in the first place? People often wait for the perfect one.
And he says don't. His advice is super direct. Don't look for the next opportunity. The one you have in hand is the opportunity. Meaning, pour yourself into whatever you're doing right now. Even if the project seems boring or small, make that great. Don't just wait for some ideal thing down the line.
Find the potential in the present. Because you can always try to shape the current task differently too, right? Make it better than the initial brief.
Yes, exactly. You still have agency. Now, related to that, he talks quite a bit about dealing with clients, obviously from his ad background. But it feels like it applies to anyone needing to persuade someone.
Sure. Collaborating, selling ideas internally.
Right. He stresses finding out what the client really wants, their hidden goals, which might be different from the official brief. He tells that story about the government scheme.
Where the minister just wanted PR.
Yeah. The actual project wasn't the main point for the minister. It was looking good. Understanding that hidden driver is crucial.
So you need to read between the lines. And what if the client just doesn't like your idea?
Whose strategy is interesting? Do it his way, then do it your way. Basically, give them what they think they want first. Show you listened.
Build some trust.
Exactly. Then, once they feel heard, they're often more open to your way, your possibly better idea. It's a bit of a tactical dance.
And he definitely believes in pushing back, doesn't he? Don't take no for an answer. He lived that, apparently.
Oh yeah, that story about winning the government account. They weren't even shortlisted. Got told no, and then pulled an all-nighter to create a whole new campaign, and won it.
Wow. That's tenacity.
It really shows his point. When something seems impossible, his advice is basically, when it can't be done, do it. If you don't do it, it doesn't exist. He brings up making Citizen Kane huge obstacles, no real backing at first. But Wells just did it, made it real.
Don't wait for permission, basically. Just start building it. Okay, he also touches on company culture, how individuals fit in.
Yeah, he really believes everyone can make a difference. It starts with your own attitude. Think like a winner. Push back against negativity. He mentions this Belgian agency.
The one that set aside budget for risky creative work.
That's the one. A small slice of every budget went to something really creative they thought the client would secretly love, even if it wasn't asked for. Building creativity from the ground up.
And it's not just the top people, right? He says junior staff can make a big impact, too.
Absolutely. Account handlers, media buyers,
Right.
anyone can bring initiative, think differently. It's about empowering everyone.
Now, he does get specific about advertising sometimes, like defining creative and pitching.
Right. And his key point on creative is, it means different things to different clients. You have to figure out their definition first.
Good point. And slogans. He loves a good slogan.
Oh, yeah. Thinks are incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Those sticky lines like, the car in front is a Toyota, they capture something, build pride, win business.
And his pitching tips, present creative first.
Yep. And maybe don't put your absolute wildest creatives on the very first meeting. And that weirdly specific tip,
Present on a Tuesday.
present on a Tuesday. Who knew?
It's certainly memorable advice. Now, he does share a personal story that kind of pulls it all together about risk and vision.
The Richard Avedon shoot.
Yeah.
For those African print dresses.
Even
Arden wanted something really bold, really different, push the boundaries.
though it was risky with the client.
Totally risky. And the client did hate it, apparently got fired eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But the work itself won loads of awards. It's a perfect example of him trusting his gut, going for impact, even knowing the potential fallout.
Sticking to the vision even when it's uncomfortable. Okay, near the end, he brings up selling, which seems broad.
It is, but he argues everyone's selling something. Products, services, yourself, your ideas, your beliefs. He uses examples like, Tupperware parties, fixing up your car before you sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Even a priest sharing their faith.
So the core skills, understanding people, communicating clearly, believing in what you offer, they apply everywhere.
Pretty much universally, yeah.
Okay. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Paul Arden's It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be, what's the big takeaway, the main thing for you, the listener, to really grab onto?
I think it's that sense of agency, that achieving things isn't just about luck or innate talent. It's much more about how badly you want it, your willingness to take risks, to learn constantly from mistakes which you will make, and just creatively figure out how to overcome obstacles.
It puts the power back in your hands, really.
Definitely.
And like we said, these ideas started in advertising, but they really do resonate way beyond that for almost any goal you have. Now he has that diagram, the life's creative circle, different stages of creativity. What's a final thought related to that for our listener?
Yeah, that circle is interesting. Maybe think about where you feel you are on that wheel right now. Are there inhibitions you need to shed, like he suggests? Or is there some youthful energy that maybe feels lost, that you could consciously tap back into to really push harder towards those goals we've been talking about?
That's a great question to reflect on. Where are you on the circle and what needs to shift?
Fantastic. Well, thanks for digging into this with us. Hopefully you've got some powerful ideas here to apply to your own ambitions.